from around the world to celebrate National Sauvignon Blanc Day today. My name is Emma, your moderator for today. I am from Japan. I represent the Napa Valley Vintners Japan office and also work as a recipe consultant and food and wine pairing. I am very excited today because we are able to talk with three specialists from around the world who really have a great strength in Sauvignon Blanc. From California, Napa, we have Michael Scholz from Supéry. From the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, we have Wadewitz from Shaw and Smith. And from New Zealand, we have Sara Scott from Allan Scott Family Winery. Actually, I was very lucky that I was able to find all of your three wines in Japan online, and I've tasted them all, and they're amazing. Not only are they amazing, but they really express the terroir. And I wanted you to share why it's so different, why it's so unique in its place and origin. So first, if I can start off by introducing our presenter, and maybe after explaining the characteristics of their Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, first I would like to go on to Michael Scholz.
Hi there, Emma.
Yes, hi, thank you. It's 7:00 p.m. in California and it's 11 o'clock here in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So thank you. Michael is the VP Winemaking at Viticulture at Supéry Estate Vineyard and Winery in Napa Valley, California. Michael Scholz is sixth-generation winemaker from Australia, famed Barossa Valley. His career began on his family estate in Willow Vineyards in the 1980s. He completed his bachelor's degree of science and oenology in 1985 at Roseworthy, Australia's first agriculture college, and traveled the world. When he first arrived at St. Supéry in 1996, he worked closely with the vineyard manager to do an extensive replanting of the project to unite blocks with their ideal varieties, focusing on the Bordeaux varieties. Today, Scholz has a cellar full of the latest technology to help him quest the further harness of potential of Napa Valley estate fruit. Michael, could you explain a little bit about your wines?
Certainly, thanks, Emma. Yeah, look, and thanks for having us here today, Emma, with St. Supéry. Yeah, look, we've got a fairly interesting couple of estate vineyards, and one of them, which is called the Dollarhide Ranch, is actually grows a lot of Sauvignon Blanc and all of the Sauvignon Blanc that we have. And you can kind of see that property in the background. You see it on the screen right now. It's a really unique property. There's actually, it's a 1,500 acre property, of which 1/3 is planted to vineyards. And a fair amount of that is Sauvignon Blanc. On the picture there, you'll see the lowlands. It's a high elevation property. So it's the lowlands and the deeper soils is where we grow most of the Sauvignon Blanc you see right here. But we do have some growing up into some of the shallow soil hills as well. So we have a number of different sort of aspects, which helps us give a little bit of variation between the wines we make from various parcels with our Sauvignon Blanc. And we have on the deeper soils where we have some deep loams, we typically are seeing wines that are very, very sort of powerful in their greener aspects of the profile, like your green limes and what have you. And then we have some more sandy, lighter soils that typically bring on a little more minerality to the wines, a little bit of the grapefruit spectrum and so forth, and that sort of carry some good citrus approaches. But we have a couple of different things. In fact, on this property, we have about 7 different soil variations across the whole property. So that gives us an opportunity to have different types. But within Sauvignon Blanc, that also plays along. And so it gives us different aromatics and flavour profiles, allows us to blend across our Sauvignon Blanc at the end of a harvest season, which we always do indeed. And yeah, so that's what we do. And we make a couple of different Sauvignon Blancs, Emma.
Well, I heard that you have 3 Sauvignon Blancs, which is very rare to have in Napa, especially, I think.
Yeah.
Is there an aim for each wine?
Yeah, so we have a variation of Sauvignon Blanc. So it's an important part of our portfolio. Like I said, this ranch is a high elevation property, so it's kind of unique. And we make 3 Sauvignon Blancs, as mentioned. the estate Sauvignon Blanc is a wine that we produce with a bit of the respect to that Southern Hemisphere sort of style, actually. We are a California Sauvignon Blanc, of course. We are a Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc. But we do sort of, in our winemaking style, we do pay a little respect to that style that is used in the Southern Hemisphere. We try to lift out what we get in our wines, which is that grapefruit, typically green lime, very much citrus approaches. This wine here that we've got today, that I've got here today, it's got a lot of that, a little bit of that caper sort of quality in it, and so forth. So they're the typical flavour profiles we'll get on the estate. But then we make another wine we call the Dollarhide Sauvignon Blanc. It's a small blend, and with that we sort of go back to the days of Robert Mondavi when he made a Fumé Blanc, and we pay a little homage, and we incorporate a tiny amount of barrel fermentation. And when I say small, I mean like maybe 16 or 17%. And our third wine is actually a concrete fermented Sauvignon Blanc, which is, it brings out a real mineral quality. It's really quite interesting. It goes great finesse across the wine, and we actually incorporate a very tiny small amount of Semillon into that blend as well. So yeah, they're the three wines we do.
Wow, they all seem really interesting. And yeah, I've never tried the concrete. So yeah, I would like to try next time when I visit. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. It's a fun wine. It's a really little blend we do, and it's a fun wine, and it's interesting to have the variations of what we do. It makes winemaking kind of particularly interesting. Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we will move to Adam Wadewitz. He is one of the Australia's brightest winemaking talents. He joined Shaw and Smith in 2013 as a senior winemaker. He worked on Adelaide Hills, Geelong, McLaren Valley, and Hunter Valley, plus stints in France, Chile, and also USA. Prior to joining Shaw and Smith, he has made his reputation for himself in Great Western at Seplet's and Best, where he vinified the 2012 Jimmy Watson winner and 2011 Best Bin One Shiraz. He is a former Dix of the prestigious Lon Evans tutorial and a regular wine show judge. Adam, can you explain a little bit about the winery? Yes, and your wines?
Yeah, no, lovely to be here, and yeah, happy Sauvignon Blanc Day, everybody. It's nice. Oh, you've got the bottle, excellent. I think we might have a few pictures too that might come through. Yeah, I'm sitting here in Bauhana in the Adelaide Hills. It is Friday, and it's 11:30, so it's almost time for a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. It really is a special place to grow Sauvignon Blanc, particularly in Australia, and it's a beautiful region. It's high, it's much cooler than other parts. That's just out the front of the winery. I'm sitting looking down at that. If I look to my right, that's where the dam is and the lawn's out the front of the winery right now. So and we do feel like there's a kangaroo in the middle of some Sauvignon Blanc vines. So I thought we'd bring an Australian flavour to that. But I think Michael's also brought a bit of the Sauvignon flavour with his nice accent. So it's good to see. I think for us, the things that we love about the variety of Sauvignon is that it is a real conductor of sight. We grow it in the middle parts of the hills, and this is our Bauhana vineyard behind me on this map. And what we see is these lovely, pink grapefruit flavours, great crisp acidity, and we really capture those flavours. As you move higher to a couple of higher sites, like our Lenswood property behind us, and you can see that's the Adelaide Hills region right there, and the higher sites do deliver a much cooler climate, but also they have higher rainfall. So the soils are very different, and you get a really different expression. And when we get higher and cooler, we start to move into the nettle type characters. And as we bring the wine together for Sauvignon Blanc, everything's hand harvested, comes back to the winery, and we're looking to have a really sort of subtle expression of the hills, which we do feel like falls into that light aromatic nettle style with some pink grapefruit running through it as well. So that's what we're chasing, and year in, year out, we sort of end up with those sort of characters.
I hear it's really wet and cold. How wet or how cold does it get?
Yeah, it does. It is a hard one to understand, but you know where we are right now at Valhalla, it's 900 millimeters rainfall per year, and you know when you contrast that against Adelaide's about sort of half of that, which is only 25 minutes down the hill. Really cool nighttime temperatures too, and I hate to talk in Celsius. Lara, we talked about that, but it is. There's probably 10, 20. You know, if it's 20 degrees in the morning in Adelaide, it'll be 10 degrees up here, Celsius. So there's a real difference in that, and yeah, I think those temperatures and that rainfall really make a difference for the site.
What is the benefit for the cool temperature? Is it longer hanging time or?
Yeah, I think it pushes it's really suits some varieties, and Sauvignon definitely falls into that category. And for us, we try to grow things that naturally, you don't need to add or subtract anything. So, we prize natural acidity, and we really get that in the hills, and things ripen towards the end of February, which is, different to the northern hemisphere, but for us that's a really nice time to into March is a great time to harvest Sauvignon, and we do capture that beautiful natural acidity and flavour.
Mm-hmm. You've already finished your 2021 harvest, I think. How was that? Mm-hmm.
I tell you, it's nice to be talking about the 21 vintage, because we have come off a couple of challenging ones in 19 and 20. And I remember this sort of time last year, it was, COVID was happening, we had fires, it was a plethora of challenges, and yields are minuscule. And this year, we sort of have kissed that all goodbye, and we've had such a kind growing season, a really wet spring, mild conditions, a really mild summer, which is sort of unheard of in Australia. And so that's given us that extra hang time, which has allowed us to kind of pick things at the optimal ripeness. And yeah, we're looking at probably, I would say, for me, I've been, 9 years in the Adelaide Hills, and I'd say it's in probably the best one I've seen so far.
Great, that's exciting to hear. Yeah, great. Okay, then I'm going to introduce Sara. Sara, okay. Sara is from New Zealand, and Sara also has a Sauvignon Blanc from her family estate. Sara Scott-Stocker, she is the managing director of Allan Scott Family Winemakers, along with her brother Josh. The two of them acquired the winery from their parents in 1990. She earned a degree in viticulture and is responsible for the grape growing and all of the vineyards, not only within her property, but also with the growers whom she worked with. In total, that's about 375 acres, and that is mostly Sauvignon Blanc and within Marlborough. She also oversees the human resources and manages the cellar door. And also they have a bistro. Allan Scott Family Winemakers is a truly family operation. Sara, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, hi, great. Hi, everyone. It's fantastic to be here. And yeah, been afternoon, we're already into celebrating Sauvignon Blanc Day here in New Zealand. So yeah, you've got a bottle, I've got a bottle here too also. Mine's nearly almost gone though already, been later on. So yeah, it's great to be here. In Marlborough here, yes, we've just wrapped up our 2021 harvest, and just like Adam in Australia there, it was a really good harvest. So we're really grateful for that, especially with the challenges that were presented with us in previous vintages. But yeah, so we are a cool climate. We've got some slides that are just going to flick up around about to show you exactly where we are. In Marlborough, New Zealand. So that's the winery there, and then we'll flick and you'll see some what I'm looking out to are some hillsides, and at the foot of those hills are also riverbeds. So our Sauvignon Blanc is growing on really alluvial soil, so the vines really have to work really hard. There we are, there's New Zealand, and there's the little dot there at the top of the South Island is Marlborough. And so those alluvial soils mean that Sauvignon has to work quite hard. It's got to penetrate its roots right down into the ground to really bring up that minerality and flavors that Marlborough is known for, that really tropical flavors, and then that herbaceous, sorry, I haven't had too many wines, on the finish here. So yeah.
Great, yeah. When you grow the Sauvignon Blanc in your vineyard, what do you see the characters that you might not see elsewhere in other regions?
Yeah, I think what we can really capture here in Marlborough in New Zealand is that the climate is obviously plays a massive part. This climate in the soil. So the climate here, so we have in summer times, we have really hot days. So they're about 30-degree days, which works out about 86 Fahrenheit for you. And then at nighttime, we'll drop quite dramatically down to 10 degrees, which is down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's quite a big significant drop. What that allows that is that during the ripening and during those really hot days, we're able to capture all those tropicals, those passion fruit, all those flavors. And then at nighttime, all those flavors that we really like, the greenness, the capsicums, all that is all captured in there and held into the grapes. And we pack it in optimum time. So we start harvest in the middle of the night to really capture those flavors, to get it into the winery when it's nice and cold and ready to be processed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really crisp, but it also has a lot of mineral, like really good mineral that you really want seafood. It's really tasty, yes.
Yes, yeah, nice. There's a nice wee balance there between tropical and acidity, and that's what we love. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. So my next question is, because I'm a food wine geek, pairing geek, I love to pair things. And when I had these wines, I couldn't stop myself from making something. And I wanted to hear everyone's pairing, what their favorites are. So can I hear maybe from Adam what your favorite pairing is with your wines, and what do you do when you drink these wines at home?
Yeah, I think we had this chat, Emma. I thought it was great, and I love pairing. And I think, you know, I also like to think about things a bit differently. And I think for me, one of the things that I said when we had a chance to catch up is that for me, I love the environment, like the best environment in which you've enjoyed this wine. And for me, in parts of Australia where you're overlooking the water, and usually it's a combination of, you know, seafood that's caught from that water or something that really suits that warm environment. To have that with a fresh glass of Sauvignon Blanc is like the ultimate scenario in which for me to enjoy it. And I think that's kind of the picture I wanted to present. But I think the wonderful thing about Sauvignon Blanc to me too is its flexibility. You know, it can add to certain dishes really well, and it can be the counterpoint, and it also can be something that really emphasizes the characters of something. So here in Australia, when we release this wine, we take it out and we do it with yum cha, and I think it just goes so well with that multitude of flavors that come at you, and you've got this acidity and crispness that just goes well with yum cha. Obviously, it pairs well with the seafood stuff. Like for us, you know, it can have the flexibility to go with the oysters, but it can also go with something with a bit more fat and flavour. You know, something that's been fried on a barbecue or something else. But I loved what you put together. It was amazing. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So when I first had this one, I really had the really crisp. I felt a little bit of cucumber, and shiso is a Japanese basil, which is a little bit more lean but more acidic. And that image that I had that image. So what I wanted to make was a chicken salad, and I marinated the chicken breast with your wine a little bit and added cornstarch to add flavor of wine into the chicken, and just steamed it and put cucumbers and radishes and shiso with a little bit of white miso dressing, which actually brought a little bit of, added some fat. So it actually made the wine a little bit more longer finish with a crispy finish, and I really enjoyed it. But actually last night I had it with yum cha, because you were talking about yum cha. I made fried spring rolls and steamed buns for dinner, and it went really well. I really love that counteract. Yes, I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I know you mentioned sesame too, and for me it has a nice link to sesame. You know, those flavors that just marry and widen the flavors. So yeah, that's what I like too. And I think we're all in this for food and wine, and to see a produce from an area work so well with food is just, for me, takes it to another level.
Yes, yes. Sauvignon, your wines are so flexible, I thought yesterday, because I always thought of a leaner food, but when I had it with the stronger food and the fattier food, it really worked well. And I saw the diversity of the range that we can pair Sauvignon Blanc with. Yes, thank you. And okay, Michael, can you also share your favorite pairings?
Yeah, Adam makes a great point. Sauvignon Blanc can be quite flexible, and you can do a number of things with it. And seafood's a great thing. And I like the vision that Adam presented about being by the ocean, because it is a great sort of seaside wine, seafood wine, ocean spray sort of feel, and what have you. So it's kind of cool. But what I would normally be looking to have with it, something as common for me that I'll have with our Sauvignon Blanc, is to have a fairly simple salad with sort of some green onion and then just salt and pepper and a little vinaigrette. So a little of the acid, because the Sauvignon Blanc can match that acid, and then pair that with like some halibut or sea bass, and maybe with that coated with sort of a lemon caper sauce across the top of it. So that's a common sort of thing that I'll try to achieve with Sauvignon Blanc, and I really enjoy that, which is a bit of fun. But hey, listen, you can do it with calamari, you can do it with scallops. It just goes on and on. But yeah, I do like the salad concept, of the vinaigrette concept, because of that acid pair, and I do like the fact that seafood does so well with the wine. As oysters, it just goes on and on. It's really cool. Yeah. So yeah, some of those things is good. Yeah.
I think it's.
And also, and Emma, what about you? You paired a dish with our wine. Can you tell us about that as well?
Sure, yes. So usually I also pair your Supéry estate with a salad, because I really love salads, and I think Sauvignon Blanc is one of the only wines that really pair well with crisp salads. So that's what I've always done. But yesterday I wanted to do something different. So I did actually the opposite. I wanted to make a rich dish and bring out the citrus from Supéry estate. So what I did was, it's a tofu, basically tofu deep fried. And I put that again in the oven with red onions. And at the last minute, I crumbled blue cheese on top. So it's a vegan dish, but vegetarian with cheeses, but it really went well, that the crunchiness of the onion and the creaminess of the blue cheese really matched the crispness and the greenness of the wine. Normally I would have it with salad, but I really thought that it could go for a full meal from salad to entree. And I found that it worked well with tofu. It was really surprising. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to an opportunity to try that. So when you're in California, Emma,
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yes, we'll love to. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So Sara, you have a dish show. I was looking at your menu, and so delicious, looks so delicious. And the naming of the menus are so unique, and I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of the most special dishes we have is actually it's actually Mum's secret recipe, which is our seafood chowder. So we're very close to the seas. You would have seen in the map there as well. So the seafood chowder pairs very well because it's quite a thick chowder. So the acidity in the wine really cuts through that. But another one of my favorites have to be, and I don't really like to talk my brother up too much, but he's quite good at diving. He's quite good at winemaking. He's quite good at diving or scuba diving, just to get it out there. And when the season's open, he grabs scallops and we just chuck them on the barbie, butter and garlic, and beautiful and fresh with our Sauvignon Blanc, which is fantastic. So, but I love how you've paired it with the calamari.
Yes. So yes, you were talking about oysters yesterday. So I was like, I couldn't find oysters, but I found a really fresh calamari in my local market. So what I wanted to do is also try to pair with Japanese food. So there's this really special lime called kabosu, which is a Japanese green lime. It's small and you can slice it really thinly and just serve it like that. And it really brought the minerality from your wine, but also brought out the umami from the calamari. The calamari brought out some of the umami aspect from the wine, and it really paired great. So Sauvignon Blanc is so diverse, can do Japanese food and Italian food and California food and all. So yes, but I really like how it brought out the umami. I don't know how it brought out the umami, but it gave it a little bit more weight and a much longer finish. So yes, it was very good. Yes.
Yeah. We probably should also mention the token fish and chips, or as we call it, fish and chops. It's always a very good match when you if you ever have the pleasure of coming out to New Zealand or Australia, and being able to have Sauvignon Blanc with some local fish and chops is always good.
I would love to try that. Yes. Yes. Also, I think Sauvignon Blanc has grown to have more image globally. I wanted to ask each of you, where do you see Sauvignon Blanc and where do you see it grow, and how do you see Sauvignon Blanc in the future? You want to start, Sara?
Sorry, I muted myself there. I think here in Marlborough, where it is growing like the region, it was quite a small part of Marlborough, and now we've just expanded out to all the valleys. So for it to grow more in Marlborough, we probably need more land. So we'll have to reclaim some more land. So as you can see in those pictures there, predominantly everything you see there is Sauvignon Blanc. So, but it is an easy drinking variety, and it's a variety that everyone loves and that everyone in the world can actually grow as well. So yeah.
Do you see more Sauvignon Blanc growing in your region too, or? Yes. Sara, do you see more? Do you think, I think Sauvignon Blanc is 69% already in Marlborough. Do you see that growing, or?
Yes, there is potential. There's a lot more development that is going on here in Marlborough. So yes, there is potential, but we'll need a lot more land as well.
Yes, okay, thank you. Michael, can you talk about Sauvignon Blanc and maybe the potential in Napa Valley for Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, absolutely, certainly. You know, it's interesting. It's a really interesting question, and I don't. We're quite committed to Sauvignon Blanc, but what we have seen in Napa Valley is a diminishing acreage of Sauvignon Blanc. Not so much for any good reason other than the fact that Cabernet Sauvignon has become incredibly popular and keeps sort of demanding the acreage. But Sauvignon Blanc has been grown in Napa Valley for quite a long time. I mean, here at St. Supéry since like the very early 80s at least, but it's before us, there was quite a few brands in Napa growing Sauvignon Blanc, and they still do. It's always been a great wine from this district, from this area. And we talked a bit about, you know, we have, you know, styles, but, you know, in Napa, you'll see a number of different styles of Sauvignon Blanc produced here, which is really interesting. So from that aspect, I think there will always be interest in it and continue to be interest. I think Sauvignon Blanc would be continue to be a sort of a powerhouse in the region, but we do have limited acreage of what we can achieve. And much like what Sara said, our acreage is limited. I mean, there's about 45,000 acres of vineyard in the Napa Valley. Not a lot of places to go to expand on that at the moment. So I don't see a huge expansion just due to that issue, but I continue to see big popularity in Sauvignon Blanc. It's received exceptionally well across the US and internationally. Therefore, I think it'll continue to be a bit of a powerhouse as it goes forward. So yeah, I think it's got a good future. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, in Japan, Sauvignon Blanc is increasing popularity because it's very approachable, and also when we look at consuming wine at home, Japanese food doesn't really. It's kind of hard to pair with rich bodied wine. So Sauvignon Blanc is a very popular hit in Japan for home. To eat and drink at home, and starting at restaurants now too, because seafood is so big. We love to have Sauvignon Blanc in most of the restaurants, yeah, as a starting.
Yes. Yeah, and as everyone said, it works great with seafood. So yeah, it'd be fantastic there, indeed.
Great. Okay, Adam, where do you see Sauvignon Blanc in Australia?
Well, it's an interesting one, and yeah, I think like everyone in these regions that get, you know, sort of known for Sauvignon, I don't see that, you know, changing anytime soon. I think there's a real connection with the Adelaide Hills with Sauvignon, but also with Chardonnay, and you know that, you know, Michael pointed out, you know, Cabernet in Napa synonymous. So there is that element that continues, and particularly in Australia, people have such an awareness of Adelaide Hills Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah, it is a small region, and I'm not sure it's expanding too quickly, but there are limited amounts that areas that you can grow grapes, just as everyone has said. So I think it's probably about refining what we do, and I think that's happening a lot in Australia, about doing things better and going deeper. And, I think if you look to the old world, which we certainly do, and I like the way Michael's kind of pointed out that there are such, different styles that suit different areas. And I think it's important to chase those styles that really suit your area and your terroir and the season and where you grow things, and make those wines that have a really deep understanding of your sense of place. And so for us, Sauvignon Blanc really ticks that box, and we see that really continuing into the future.
Right, thank you. We also have a question from our guests or viewers. They have Sauvignon Blanc vines have a tremendous capacity for producing leaves and stems, oftentimes at the expense of their fruit. Do you find that true in all of your different regions, US, Australia, New Zealand? Does this influence your canopy design, development, etc.? Can you start that, Adam?
Of course. No, and it's a known phenomenon. And so, yeah, we certainly think about that. And, I think we've got such detailed viticultural teams, so we're always thinking about, we're doing bud dissections early in the year to see what the potential of the vine is, and that can vary. We use things like cane pruning. We manage our canopies in a VSP, so a vertical shoot position, and that allows sunlight. And that sunlight is very important for the following year's crop. So that's there. There's levers there, but I think anyone that's been working with Sauvignon for a long time knows that shoot thinning, trimming, sunlight, good light penetration, good air penetration, everything that you do is a bricks in the wall of getting great production, good even production, but also healthy vines.
Thank you. Sara, can you also comment on that question?
Yes, I can. I think mainly for we kind of joke about Sauvignon Blanc being a bit of a weed because it can get out of control because it is a very vigorous variety. So the timing of your trimming is really crucial. So you're trimming all that growing tip, and therefore it is telling the vine, hold on, back down, concentrate on those bunches to ripen and get the fruitful flavors that are coming through. So trimming, and we also do leaf plucking, so opening that canopy up and removing those leaves that are around that are non-productive, that aren't going to really work into helping the growth, helping the ripening stages. So it is a mechanical pluck. We have trialed sheep, but they also like the taste of Sauvignon grapes, so they eat them. So we've got a lot of sheep here, so we need to put them to work as well. So we just keep them mowing now. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Michael, how is it in Napa?
Yeah, look, Sauvignon Blanc's a unique plant. There's no doubt about it when you look in the world of viticulture. And it is a plant that can get to be quite large and quite woolly and what have you. But, as Adam sort of leaned on, and Sara, it depends a little on your trellis and your situation. It also depends very much on your soils and if you irrigated, your irrigation regimes and what have you. But all Sauvignon Blanc tends to have to be managed. We have a number of different trellis techniques here. Some of the old-fashioned vineyards, old-fashioned is not the appropriate word really, but older vineyards, I love old vineyards, so it's a good thing, are on a sort of a sprawl situation. Those need to have a little more maintenance and help along through the season, but it's all very manageable. We then have some that are vertically trained. You see, this is actually the current growing season we have right in front of us. This is actually our parcel 14. You'll see growing right there at the minute, which is kind of cool. That's one of our, we don't have a lot of hillside Sauvignon Blanc. That's actually one of our hillside Sauvignon Blancs there, which is kind of nice. But we'll do the similar practices. We will trim canes at the point that's necessary, but we're careful to ensure the vines sort of getting to the end of their growing cycle, so don't push too much material back into the canopy. We actually do leaf removal as well, and as Sara was saying, that helps our light penetration and so forth. And we practice all of those sort of methods to achieve a little bit of exposure. We don't totally expose our fruit. We might expose one side of our vine so that we have nice sunlight, dappled sunlight into those clusters. It's great for Sauvignon Blanc, or certainly for our style. Works really, really well. But yeah, it's one of those things you just need to be on top of. It depends a little bit on the type of season. If we have a good rainfall winter, we're going to have a bigger plant. We need to be more cognizant of what's going to happen. If it's drier, like we're having a drier season this year, we can relax a little bit on it, but we can't keep our eye on. We can't let our eye stray off the ball. We need to be aware of it, because Sauvignon Blanc just can be like that. And finally, we can manage it a little bit by low water input as well. So anyway, yeah, so a few different things we can do for canopy management and so forth, and making sure we have good sunlight exposure to the clusters.
I saw the vineyard of, I think it's right now, right? This morning? Is that from this morning?
Yeah, it was from this morning. Yeah, indeed. It's kind of fun.
How is the 221 vintage in Napa?
So the 221 vintage is coming on quickly. It's we've had a very dry winter, very dry spring, like remarkably dry. That from a point of view of vineyard management always gives me a little bit of concern, but from a wine quality situation often leads to very good wines. And so it's leading in a good direction from a quality perspective. We will have to be on our game as we go through the season, just because when you have a lower rainfall situation, we need to be very aware of our vineyards and very timely with any activity we choose to take on those vineyards. So we'll do that. But at the moment, it looks good. And, that shot they just showed on parcel 14, the vine's looking great right now, which is a little bit exciting,
Great. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we're already 39 minutes. So yes, if there's anything else that we have questions, or if there's anything that the presenters want to share about Sauvignon Blanc, do you have anything? Okay.
I mean, I'll just, as Adam sort of mentioned a bit ago, that Sauvignon Blanc is so versatile. I mean, there's so many great Sauvignon Blancs we haven't even chatted about today from France, Chile, and we have New Zealand here today. We have Australia, Adelaide Hills here today. We have Napa Valley here today. I mean, it's just it's a very versatile grape, different styles, but those places present personality within the Sauvignon Blanc that's different from each other, and I think it makes Sauvignon Blanc exciting. I mean, I guess it's somewhat general about the wine world generally, but certainly from the perspective of Sauvignon, it makes it exciting, because if you do pick up a Sauvignon Blanc from Sancerre, it's going to be a different wine than what you're going to pick up from us or from New Zealand. But that's great. It's unique. It's what's fun about Sauvignon Blanc, I feel, anyway.
Yes, I very much agree. Like, learning this session, I really found the diversity. So I really want to try not only these regions, but also other regions and see the characteristics. And I thought it was great. And I actually did not know there was a Sauvignon Blanc Day in New Zealand. And I want to spread that news in Japan, because a lot of people love Sauvignon Blanc in Japan. So what I want to do today is share the hashtag and spread the Sauvignon Blanc fans across the world. Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right. Adam and Sara, anything else to add, or you're
I think it's a great celebration, and as everyone said, I think for me it is a conductor of sight, it is a conductor of your place, and the other thing that I think about it too is that there is an inherent deliciousness to the wines, and I think that is why we go back and we sit there and they complement things, is because they're delicious. And I think there's lots of things that you can chase in the world of wine, and I think one of the most noble ones is to find delicious wines. So if you can find a Sauvignon Blanc that looks like where it's grown from a great season, then that's pretty good for me.
One of the great things here in New Zealand is that Sauvignon Blanc Day is today on the 7th, and 2 days later is actually Mother's Day. So a lot of mothers get a lot of Sauvignon Blanc. So it's a double whammy here. So we're really excited about that.
That's great.
So, but thank you very much for having us here today as well. If anyone is looking for an Allan Scott Sauvignon Blanc in the US, we're on Vivino, is that how you call it? VIVINO.com or wine.com as well. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we wanted to know, yes, where we can find your wines. I think a lot of the viewers from across the world, I know in Tokyo or in Japan, we find all of them online. You just type the name and you find it online shops. But if there's a place where we can purchase your wines, we'd like to share that.
Yeah, I'm
Michael?
sure we'll share ours with anyone that needs to know. But yeah, Winebo have our wines in the US and Motox in Japan. So yeah, and Red and White in New Zealand. Sarah, get involved. You know, yeah, if you want to find it, I'm sure we can add some things too and send it through. And yeah, I think it's a great initiative, guys, and it's been really fun getting involved.
Great, thank you. And yes, so it is Sauvignon Blanc Day, but it is Mother's Day soon. So that's a great hint for a lot of the people that haven't purchased presents. So yes, I'd like to close this webinar by saying cheers and happy Sauvignon Blanc Day to all of you. And thank you so much for joining from Australia, New Zealand, and Napa. Adam, Sarah, and Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you,
cheers.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.
Happy Sauvignon Blanc Day, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.